It's true. What up, Bulls Nation? Peck here. We got a live CHGO Bulls pregame coming up for y'all right around the corner. Bulls down in Florida taking on the Magic tonight. They are sinking. They've been decimated by injuries this season, but Paolo Banchero, a couple of big games recently for Orlando. Meanwhile, the Bulls injury report gets a little bit better, but still no Pat. We'll talk about it next. Jealous of that thumbnail. What's going on, Bulls Nation? Welcome in to CHGO Bulls pregame. Coming to you live from our studios here in West Loop, downtown Chicago. I'm Peck, Bulls_Peck. That's Big Day. Bam, bam. BNWL Sports. Will, the GOAT Gottlieb, perfectly coiffed. Will_Gottlieb. And the queen of the controls, the one and only Katie Duffy. What up, Katie?
Hi.
Pew. Bulls Hoops. Game 63. Are you excited, Katie?
I've actually never been less excited for anything in my life.
Never been less excited for anything.
Never been less excited.
Wow.
You know what I'm not excited about?
The Bulls and the Magic are so offended right now.
We lost our whiteboard.
Yeah. What? Someone took
Will
away
was ready.
the fun whiteboard?
It wasn't here when I got here. That's all. I don't know where it went. It's probably in
Somebody
Studio B.
posted photos on Twitter of Dave and I
that was
having fun with the whiteboard.
This is true.
And now it happens to be gone.
Do you
I
think
wonder what could have possibly
I
happened.
don't know.
We'll find it. We'll find it between now and
It's
post game.
awfully convenient.
I did like that as a
I was a
new
little
addition
fishy.
to our show.
Oh, yeah. Oh, it was about to be a thing.
It was about to be a thing.
thing. All right.
Especially on the heels of this very emotional goodbye that Woody Page is about to have to say on PTI.
This is true, man.
I mean, around the horn.
Around the horn.
We can take the Woody Page reins of
That's
just
true.
writing silly things on a chalkboard/whiteboard.
We got you, Woody, man. We got you.
All right, so Bulls, little quick
We'll go
two-game
to.
trip down to Florida, Orlando tonight, and then Miami on Saturday. Let's start with injury reports for both squads. The Magic have really been struggling with injuries this season. We can touch on that a little bit later, explaining why they have sunk. But for tonight's game, Cole Anthony has been given the green light dealing with a toe. Jalen Suggs obviously recently ruled out for the rest of the season with that knee injury, in addition to Mo Wagner out for the season with an ACL that he tore back in December.
Mm-hmm.
But so that's the long and short of it for Orlando. They have gotten healthier over the last month or so. For the Bulls, gentlemen, Lonzo Ball remains out with that wrist. Vooch remains out with the calf. I did see him board the team plane in a video they posted on their socials. So he's on the trip. I don't know when he'll come back, but it is not tonight.
Going to Orlando. Damn right he made the trip.
And then Patrick Williams was upgraded to questionable tonight, but still got the red light. Patrick Williams will not play tonight.
Interesting.
Maybe we'll see him on Saturday. Kevin Huerter and Josh Giddey both making returns from their brief absences. Huerter dealing with the knee, Giddey with the quad. They will both play tonight.
Must-win game. Gotta get him back. Must-win game. Gotta get him back.
Must-win game. Gotta reclaim whatever ground. Have they even lost ground on the 10th
No, they've
seed? I don't
gained
think they
ground.
have. Yeah. So
They have
really
more ground
crucial.
to gain.
Really crucial one on deck tonight, y'all. And then, of course, the last note, Ayo Dosunmu out for the season. I did see a tweet from our pal Joe Callie of the Sun-Times, who is down in Orlando. Billy did confirm that Ayo had the surgery on his shoulder yesterday, and all went well. So
Good.
news there on the heels of some pretty disturbing news.
Incredibly
Dave,
disturbing.
That clip of you in pregame from Tuesday,
Yeah.
when we were talking about the Ayo stuff, went off on Twitter. Did you see that?
I didn't know.
Bulls fans are mad.
Whiteboard.
Hey, we found the
got
whiteboard.
the
Hey,
whiteboard.
shout out, P. I sincerely didn't know that it did that until I saw something from our guy, JP, Jason Pratt,
What up, JP?
who was like, how did I miss this? And what the hell? Like,
Yes.
and then I looked and I was like, oh,
Yeah.
a lot of people have,
Bulls fans have
Opinions
feelings
on
about
this.
the team's medical staff.
yeah, they have opinions.
Always and forever, they have had those feelings.
It's true. And I don't like the fact that those feelings were, founded in this instance. I was specifically speaking of this, instance. But of course, you can pile it on to all the other things that the medical staff has done. But when I saw that, Matt, and I'm so glad you brought this up because I for real had one more thought that I thought of yesterday. And
please.
And then I threw something at the wall at my house because it made me angry. I'm so serious. I did. Ayo Dosunmu, well, the Bulls have been playing since October.
Yeah.
So as far as 4 months, we got November, you got December, you got January, you got February.
4 months.
About 4.5 months because it was the end of October and the beginning of March.
Right.
In those 4.5 months, that dude had 5 dislocations of his shoulder.
Yeah.
In 4.5 months.
Yep.
And it did not ring any bells.
He averaged more than 1 dislocation per month.
Per month.
That's a little.
Exactly. That's the point. Per month.
I want to. I hear you're saying, but I just want to say, like, I don't think there's a difference between like a partial dislocation, which is what subluxation is, and a full dislocation.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it was ever fully dislocated. I could be wrong about that.
Sure.
But
popped out,
obviously, yeah, just having it pop in and out, obviously not a good thing. I don't know how long they've known, like, because they just did imaging. I'm not sure if that initial imaging said it's been going on for this long or what the case may be. Obviously, this has been going on for a long time, and it's good that they are getting it taken care of.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that, like, over the summer he was, like, in excruciating pain because he had a fracture in his thing.
Clearly
So,
he wasn't.
Yeah, I just want to make it sound like he's had, like, these massive, like, events.
I don't want to make it sound like that either because, again, I'm speaking to his toughness because obviously it wasn't bothering him at all because he still was producing every damn night when he was on the floor. And as he said, when it would pop out, it wouldn't hurt, you know, the next day when it would, kind of pop in and he was able to continue to play. I'm simply saying when it happens 5 times in 4.5 months, however it happened, I don't know if it happened every month. I don't know if it happened all at once. All I'm saying is, and I don't know if they did this, but it just feels like it because they just found out about this fracture, why certain alarms aren't set off to say, hey, man, we need to really do a thorough check on what's happening with you.
Right.
Because this is something new as far as, at least I know, if this – and Will, you know this, there are certain guys who might have certain injuries that they've been dealing with, like during their time in college, bringing it to the pros. Like certain guys might have shoulder dislocations that we already know about coming in. I didn't know about any of that coming in as far as Ayo Dosunmu. So for me, if it's brand new and nobody really knows, like, oh, snap, this is something that's occurring right now that's brand new, I would want to get that checked out and say, hey, bro, come in here. I want to do a full examination of what's going on with you because 5 in 4.5 months is a lot.
Right.
And it just hearing him say these things and how it went out and like, oh, yeah, that's a fracture back there. That's where the rage kind of came from. And that's how upset I was, man.
I think that's totally fair. And I'm not like defending the medical staff or anything. I'm just trying to clarify exactly what the injury was.
There can be a variance of severity when you're talking about
You'll recall
shoulder.
Zach LaVine had shoulder subluxation earlier this year, and he missed 1 game and then was back. And I was like, oh my God, he's going to be out for 2 weeks. They're not going to be able to trade him, blah, blah, blah. And then he was back after 1 game.
Right. So who knows? It could have been that they were more mild as opposed to like, oh my God, my arm fell out.
But I think the more I think the more it happens, the more of an issue it becomes, right? Because you have the tendons and muscles that are trying to hold it into place. Those get stretched or torn.
Right. So, but I think Dave's point is like, regardless of the severity of the dislocation or subluxation or suplexation, whatever word we're choosing,
suplex.
If Ayo noticed it, it is a thing that he's like, oh, that thing happened again where my arm kind of falls out of my shoulder. And now it's back. Yeah. If he noticed it, unless he kept that a secret from the Bulls and their medical staff, and they were aware that even if it was mild, that it was something that was continuously happening, and they let him continue to play through it. Also, it sounded like this was the first time he had gotten an MRI on this, or the first time in a while.
Yes.
That's the part that we deem right now to be irresponsible, negligent malpractice.
And Paul asked the question, is Ayo accountable for this also? It's why I said, Matt, to you that day that sometimes you have to protect players from themselves.
Right.
Because they always want to play.
Right.
They would do anything to get out there and play. I ran down Kobe for you, shooting with a left hand, playing with the left hand. I ran down Kyrie, tearing his ACL, but still going and shooting free throws. Like, guys are going to want to play. Your job is to protect them from themselves, especially when you see clearly that they're injured and something's hurt, you get them out the game. And not just hurt, injured.
Right.
Not using your shoulder is an injury, bro. So, yeah.
And our guy, French Bulls fan, in the comments saying, even if Ayo asked to play versus Toronto, no way in hell a good medical staff would clear him to play. He was clearly not feeling right at all. He even played overtime that night.
He played OT.
That was the Toronto game.
Yeah.
After he sat out, I think, 3 games with a shoulder issue. And the previous game to that was the Knicks game where he said to Julia Poe the other night, that's the game where I thought I'm cooked for the season.
Right.
And then he sat out 3 and then came back and played.
Yes.
That's the part that is like mind-boggling.
Yes,
to me.
Absolutely. It's crazy.
Well,
but
here's
I'm
the
glad
other
he
piece.
got this surgery.
They said, well, I shouldn't say like the team said this, but the idea was he was going to try to play through this for the rest of the year, and the team talked him out of it. So I'm not like, I just don't know, like the medical staff is going to know more about this stuff with more information and more expertise than we do. So
sure.
That's all I'm saying.
Without a doubt. As I stated before, Will, I'm not a doctor.
Yeah, not a doctor.
You're not?
No, I'm just reading the tea leaves,
well,
baby.
so yeah, I mean, on the heels of all of that, I guess some good news, according to Billy, talking to the media down in Orlando pregame tonight. I did have the surgery yesterday, no complications, all went well. So
awesome.
Hopefully, Ayo mentioned that 4 to 6 month timeline of recovery when he met with the media earlier this week. And hopefully he will, as he stated is the plan, be ready for training camp for the 25-26 season.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so shifting gears, before we dive into what's going on with the Orlando Magic, I did want to touch on this just because it was going around Twitter. Shout out to good old Chuck Swirsky, who tweeted a couple videos. But a couple of teams recently who have been making visits to Orlando have been using this gym for their morning shoot-arounds, and the Bulls used it today. It is the ASB Glass Floor Athletes Lab in Orlando, Florida. And in case y'all haven't seen this yet, this is one of the coolest things I've seen in sports in a long time. It is a court that uses LED lights, and you can change it to match different teams' home court designs. You can also draw up X's and O's on an iPad that then appear on the LED court. Awesome. Katie's playing this video from ASB Glass Floor's Twitter account for y'all right now. Look how freaking cool this is.
Yeah. That's freaking awesome, man.
I mean, how do you make a basketball court out of an LED screen?
I don't know, but they did it, and that's really, really cool. And I'm sure it helped. Like the X's and O's part is really what gets it for me.
Yeah.
Because some people like myself are visual learners. Like, so it's one thing that people just saying it to me, it doesn't really go in, but if I can see it, it clicks. And so seeing it like that on the floor with the arrows pointed like, oh yeah, follow this, that will stick in some guys' memories. It helps people who, just learn a different way than everyone else. So I think it's really cool. I think it's really awesome, man. Look at that. How you feel about that, Will?
I mean, it's awesome.
Yeah.
I am a big fan of like finding new technology to help give yourself a competitive edge.
Yeah.
Whether that's like biometric stuff, like the players are wearing all this cool like gear and tech that allows the medical staff to like measure how much workload they have and like how much strain they're putting on their body, what their sleep is. I wrote about this last year when I did the thing about Peter Patton. They have this machine that like tracks the arc of your shot so that you can, and like counts makes and misses and things like that. So I just think this is the kind of stuff that teams are using to give themselves a competitive advantage. A lot of teams are starting to see what other teams are doing, and copycat league is true both on the court and off the court. So I think this stuff is awesome, and I think it's just going to lead to more and more innovation where teams are finding new ways and investing in new companies that provide them with technology that can help them win on the court.
So there was another tweet from this account, ASB Glass Floor, the people who made this really awesome LED court, underneath a couple of videos of NBA teams having their shoot-arounds there, that said, when it comes to performance, teams love playing on ASB Glass Floor. Superior grip, unmatched comfort, and reduced stress on the knees and ankles for a smoother, faster, and stronger gameplay.
Now that changes
This
things.
is the future of the game.
That changes a lot.
And that's the part that I'm still struggling to wrap my head around. Like, how?
Yeah.
How is it an LED court
I'm with you.
that like players are used to playing on hardwood?
Yeah.
Or, maybe if they're playing pickup games is, asphalt, whatever. But how is it that an LED court is better on your knees and your ankle? Like, I want to go see this up close.
Yes.
And like inspect it. Because seeing a video of it looks really cool, but I'm also still just like, how How does this work?
I want to see who's going to be the first team to adopt this, like as their home floor.
Actual home court.
Yeah, home floor. Because again, not only does it do all those things, it changes the way you advertise on the floor as well.
Yeah, I was going to say that too.
So that will be a part of it too. And yeah, I'm curious to see what that looks like.
I'm guessing the league has some sort of, chapter in their bylaws as far as rules of what your home court must be. Not only parameters, length and width and all that, but like what are you allowed to have on your court and what are you not?
Yeah.
And it allows teams to have like alternative courts, right? Like
you just about to say that. Get in the brain, go.
Get in my brain. The in-season tournament courts.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like those are different. Maybe now you can do more of those, or I don't know, like have just multiple alternative courts.
Changes the workload, you know what I'm saying, for a lot of those guys too. That's cool. It's
super
really cool.
Super cool. Way to go, Orlando.
Yeah.
Glass Floor Athletes Lab.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just, and it was funny. So, Chuck posted a couple videos himself. And one of them was like Dale and Terry just like playing around with his iPad, like drawing up plays for himself. And like he's curling, all right, I'm going to run this screen and I'm going to come around. The Monas is going to roll for an alley-oop. And it was like, as he was drawing on an iPad, it was popping up on this full-size court. I was like, this is the coolest thing
It would
ever.
also be kind of
That's
distracting. Like if you're shooting, like getting your shots up pregame or like doing your pregame warm-up, whatever. And all of a sudden, like somebody's drawing on it and there's like stuff coming up underneath you. That would be distracting.
That's right.
Yeah, and one of Chuck's videos, one of the Bulls, assistant coaches or coaching staff members, whoever, was like, running through a drill with some player, and like there was some play that they were fuddling around about that appeared like underneath his feet on the court, and you could tell he was like, what the hell?
What? Oh, I'm scared.
What? Yeah. The future of the game. Yeah, let's go. Jerry,
bring it.
Bring one to the UC.
Yeah, bring it in.
Jerry didn't even want the idea of the Bulls keeping their custom all-star court in 2020. Remember that?
I remember
the league told the Bulls, you can keep this awesome all-star Chicago-themed court for the rest of the season. And they're like, no, we're good.
Nah, we don't need that.
Oh.
Yeah, this changes things, though. This really changes a lot, gives you a bunch more options that you can do. Like you said, matching the team's jerseys, even in the playoffs, even in the finals, about changing the floor. You might want to change it different every night. It gives you a different kind of home court advantage that you can really play and mess with, man. So, yeah, really, really cool. Really, really cool.
All right, so shifting gears to tonight's game, Bulls starting five has been announced. Trey Jones gets another start in the backcourt alongside Kobe White. Josh Giddey back in the starting lineup as well, alongside Modest Buzelis and Zach Collins.
All right.
We were kind of joking about if and when Pack comes back, what does that do to Billy's rotation? And, Dave, you were saying, well, that's it for Dale and Terry. Yeah. Dale and Terry did get a couple of starts when the Bulls were super shorthanded.
Yeah.
He is removed from that starting lineup tonight, and you wonder how much, if at all, we will see of him.
I'm curious. Yeah, I am curious, so we'll see, man.
Especially with Kevin Herter also back and available.
Oh, Herter's back too?
Yeah. So, bye, Dalen. We shall
some more
see.
THT minutes. He was killing it last game.
He did ball. Yeah. The ISO THT did his thing,
seriously.
Man.
And so... For Orlando, your starting five tonight is Cole Anthony, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, Franz Wagner, Paolo Banchero, and our old pal Wendell Carter Jr.
The legend. You know he loves playing against the Bulls.
Sure.
He always gets up for that. So
sure.
That'd be fun to watch. He has a great first half, and then he disappears. Just, those classic games.
Great first half and then disappears. It's kind of similar to what the Magic have done this season.
Ooh, good
not a full first half, but this team started 17-9.
Yeah.
Since that 17-9 start, they have gone 12-25. And some of that you can put on missing key guys.
Yeah.
If y'all remember, Bulls Magic was one of the first games of the season, October 30th. And the Bulls were getting worked in the first half and then came back. And it was because Paolo Banchero turned into a shell of himself in the second half. He played through an injury that turned out to be an injury that kept him out for the next 30-some games. Even when Paolo was out, they were racking up some wins early on. But then more injuries followed. Franz Wagner missed 19 games. His brother Mo Wagner tore his ACL in December, as I mentioned. He's done for the year. And then most recently, Jalen Suggs, who had been out since January 5th, the team recently announced is going to have surgery and is done for the year as well. Crazy. So, you feel for this Orlando team that had such a promising start and has been dealing with some of these injuries all season long. It's like as soon as one guy gets healthy, another guy goes out. Got to be frustrating. At the same time, whoever's available and on the floor, it seems like their offense just like broke at some point.
I mean, I don't know that it was ever
or if it was ever not
working.
broken.
I mean, you watched them in the playoffs last year against the Cavs, and it was like every game they scored 70 points. Suggs was doing a great job of trying to carry them, but he was a little bit overtasked with Franz out, who missed 20 games also had a torn oblique. Same with Paolo.
Right.
Their floor spacing is terrible. They just don't have any shooting. No one's really getting into the paint and like spraying it out, except for Paolo playing some bully ball. Franz obviously super talented and has taken a step forward in terms of his shot creation, but they just don't have any help. And Cole Anthony's going to step in and try to provide some of that. He's been explosive scoring guard at times, but yeah, their offense just needs, like, for me, they were a great Zach LaVine team where he could have just given them such another level of dynamic scoring creation while also providing that floor spacing that they desperately need. I think they're going to have to go out and make a move this year because they clearly have the foundation of young talent, but now you're paying those guys, right? Like Franz's max is going to kick in next year. Paolo's max is going to kick in. You need guys that can support those guys because that's the group, and you need to be able to give them what they need to be able to win around them. And right now, the offense is just not there.
Also, Jalen Suggs, as far as guys that they're paying.
And hopefully he'll be ready by next year. I don't know exactly what the details of his injury are. But
I remember asking you, Will, was Orlando the most disappointing team this season? And you were like, yeah, there's some validity to that. Just because of what you just mentioned as far as the offense is concerned, because they came into the season just kind of riding high, and we were kind of penciling them in as a top 6 seed in the East.
I thought top 4 even. They had a
boom.
chance.
Yeah, and so it's a little disappointing seeing them play this way and having the issues that they're having. We just didn't expect that. And then, of course, the injuries that have happened and have come with that. You don't expect Paolo to go down that early in the season. That definitely derails some things. And now you lose your spark plug, probably your best defender also, in a guy like Jalen Suggs, and also your fourth quarter guy in a guy like Jalen Suggs.
Yeah.
So they're dealing with those issues that NBA teams deal with. It's not shocking, when you go through these kind of things, but it is surprising to see them really struggling and just the continuous struggle that they've had all season long to put the ball into the bucket.
Shout out real quick to our guy Anthony in the comments who said, just chugged some beers and a shot at the bar listening to CHGO with a Bulls crew. Let's go see Red heading to the game. That's right. Anthony is one of our proud members of the Bulls Nation Florida branch.
Yes.
Just
shout out to him.
Just hanging tough in that lawless swamp. Have a wonderful time at the game tonight, Anthony.
I think he said he also was trying to convert he said there was a bunch of Bulls fans down there, and he was trying to convert some over to the CHGO podcast. So
this is the way to go.
Shout out to him, man.
For all of you non-locals, we are here on YouTube every night.
Shout out to you, Anthony.
Yes, shout out to you, sir.
Shout out to Anthony.
You mentioned the defensive presence that Suggs has been for them, Dave, and obviously losing him for the rest of the season will hurt.
Hit the like.
Given all of the injuries they've dealt with, they have still managed to be an elite defense all season long. That is what the Magic have hung their hat on, while their offense has just struggled in basically all departments.
Yeah.
They have the second best defensive rating coming into tonight at 109.6, second only to the OKC Thunder. And as bad as their offense is, their defense is so good that their net rating is just shy of level at minus 1.7.
Okay.
They are second in the league at forcing opponents' turnovers, 15.2 opponent turnover percentage, squeaking into the top 10 at converting off those turnovers at 18.6 points per game. And they also do not give their opponents second chance points, second chance opportunities, second possessions. First team in the NBA in defensive rebounding percentage at 77.7. Not that the Bulls have made offensive rebounding a priority this season as far as the elements to their offense, as Dave likes to say, the Andre Drummond play where, DeMar takes a shot and it goes in, or if it doesn't, Drummond's right there. But so like this is a well-oiled defensive machine.
Facts.
So, the Bulls, they need to have themselves a strong shooting night, and they need to limit turnovers if they want to get the upper hand in this game.
Without a doubt, man, that's what they'll have to do. And I think they also need to get off to a fast start. They've shown that in the past couple games that's what they've been doing, getting off the fast starts and struggling to maintain it against the better teams. Obviously, it's the Cavs, so I'm not going to fault them too much for that. But yeah, just getting off to that fast start, I think, will be important for the Bulls because it's important to their chemistry and how it works. Because the Bulls, as much as you've been watching, if you've been watching it, they play with a rhythm. And when that rhythm starts happening and that ball starts moving and everybody gets to touching it and taking those shots, it looks better. And to be a rhythm team, especially when you're just learning it, you have to start it early. It's not like the Cavs. The Cavs don't have to start that rhythm early. They know already when to come in, when to drop the horns, when to play the drums. They know that. Bulls still kind of learning certain things. So that's why it's important for them to get off to that good start against a defensive team, because when that defensive team is going to lock in on you, it's going to be from step one. Because Orlando, they do got a bunch of dogs out there on their squad, man, that enjoy the physicality. Just the numbers that you just read show that. So, yeah, they have to get off to a good start. I'm very curious to see also the bench rotation as well. I feel like Herter is definitely going to be in there because Billy is definitely falling in love with him. I think Julian Phillips will get some time out there as well. And always curious about what Modest minutes look like in games like this.
Modest might have his hands full as far as his defensive assignment or assignments tonight. But, you mentioned the physicality. And when you and your fellow beat were chatting with Kobe in the locker room after their loss on Tuesday, he pointed out the free throw disparity. Like, how many free throws did they surrender?
I think it was
Cleveland, 33, something like that. As trash as this Magic offense is, the one thing they do well, and obviously Paolo, big part of it, Paolo Banchero, I think averaging just over 8 free throw attempts per game this season. They, as a team, are second in the NBA in free throws per field goal attempts at .209. So, knowing that Kobe was talking about that in the locker room as part of a big reason for their loss on Tuesday, coming into this opponent, keeping them off the free throw line is going to be key, Goat.
Yeah, and I think the other piece there is just like the transition game. I think it goes back to what you were saying, Dave, of getting off to a fast start, where this defense that they're playing against is really good. They've got good rim protection with Batatse, with John Isaac, with Wendell back there. They're big and they're physical on the wing. If you can get out in transition and get yourself some easier points, that's going to put the Magic on their heels a little bit. And this Magic, as we've talked about, this team does not have the offensive firepower to get back from a 15, 20-point lead, I don't think. So, I mean, we'll see if I'm wrong there. But they just are so offensively challenged that I think if you put them in a hole, you're going to be in good shape.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see, because this is one of those teams similarly to Bulls Cavs. Like the last time they had played them was November 15th, I think.
Okay.
Bulls Magic. It's been a while since these teams faced each other. This is the third and final game of their regular season series. Bulls took the first one. I mentioned, that was early, like late October.
Yeah.
The game where Paolo got hurt and tried to play through it in the second half. And then Orlando won the second meeting fairly convincingly. But both of those games were a long time back with rosters that looked pretty different for each team as far as who's healthy and who's been traded.
Who's actually here.
So, yeah. We'll be curious to see what Herter looks like tonight. The report was that he was getting shots up and starting to feel better, but he was still having some issues with lateral movement with that knee.
Yeah.
Before suffering that injury, he was flying around the court hitting threes all over the place.
Yeah, and
so it'll be interesting to see if he can pick that back up tonight.
And that's a perfect point because that's basically his game.
Right.
The lateral movement and the cutting and coming off ball and coming around screen. That is his entire game. He's not creating his own shots out there. So that's going to be very important. So I'll be curious about his minutes, man. If Billy really goes hard on it, or if he's just seeing how he feels. You know what I mean? Because he wants to make sure he's ready for a play.
Speaking of which, shout out to our guy Amari Green in the comments who said it's a K5 night. That's Kevin Herter for 5 threes.
Oh, all right.
Very reliable.
Shout out K5.
On the other side, we've kind of poking fun at Orlando's offense, and they do get to the free throw line and do well there. Care to venture where they are in the NBA in three-point efficiency this season? As a Bulls fan, it'll make you feel better about the past.
Bottom. It has to be.
Near the bottom.
I would guess dead last.
Oh, dead last?
At the bottom. They are shooting 30.7% from three this season. And as far as their attempt rate, middle of the pack.
You're going to struggle. That's good. It's something sounds like I remember these conversations years ago about the Bulls and three-point shooting. Yeah.
Right.
You're going to struggle. I don't care what kind of talent you have out there. No three-point shooting. You're going to struggle, man.
And it just makes life harder on your drivers. I mean, Paolo, he's a bully, but you don't want to be playing bully ball the whole game, especially if you can double easily and recover because you're not worried about the spray out shooter. So KCP was obviously their big signing of the offseason. He has not played super well, but that's a guy who, in theory, gives you what you want without sacrificing defense.
Yes.
Just hasn't worked out.
Hasn't worked out for him, man. Getting old and long in the tooth, baby.
Long in the tooth. You mentioning, the difference was between these teams. Dave, you were talking about getting off to a hot start. Goat, you were talking about some transition opportunities for the Bulls offensively. That is, one of the other big questions, which team will dictate the pace? Because the Bulls still top 3 in the NBA in possessions per 48. Orlando, 29th. They have a pace of just 96.2. Whereas the Bulls, I think, are still somewhere up there near between 102 and 103. Okay. So will the Bulls play into the Magic slow slog of a game? Or will the Bulls get the Magic to, get out and run and run them off the floor? Somebody take that whiteboard away.
No, you should have showed it to Katie. No, you should have showed that to Katie immediately.
We've gone from scribbling notes to drawing doodles.
Yes,
I see a doodle.
Yes, man.
It's gone.
Yeah.
You can't prove it.
Goodness gracious. Dread saying, if we lose tonight, does it help our tank? Let's hope so. What are the other tanking teams doing tonight?
Playing some tough-ass teams.
Oh, yeah?
I say that.
Brooklyn against the Warriors. Hottest team in basketball.
Gross.
Atlanta and Indiana. Philly playing Boston. With no Paul George, no Maxey.
Oh, yeah, they're all
Embiid. And that's about it.
Portland? Any game?
No Portland game.
Okay.
Spurs playing tonight?
Spurs game.
Okay. All right, yeah, so not a lot of tank but that means, so we'll probably not gain any ground on Brooklyn or Philly, even with a loss tonight. But we won't lose any.
Well, you get closer with a loss.
That's true.
Get closer.
That's going to do it for pregame. Hit the like button, y'all, if you haven't done it yet. Thanks for hanging out with us. We will be right back here for postgame following Bulls Magic tonight. Let's see what happens.
Yes.
Game 63. I'm stoked. Katie's never been less stoked.
Yeah.
But I'm stoked.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
Hit that like button. We'll see y'all for postgame. See you, Red. Be good.
Peace, y'all.
Bow.
We all silly like the mayor.